All right, folks, welcome back to the New Sentinel. This is Chukwuka, and I'm here with Duke, Major Graves, and Olga. Today we're diving deep, no pun intended, into the latest about mh370. Now, unless you've been living under a rock or, maybe under Broken Ridge itself, you've seen Dr. Vincent Line's theory making rounds everywhere this past year. Olga, you want to give the man a quick introduction?
Sure, Chukwuka. Dr. Line is not just any random person with an opinion on the internet. He's a retired Australian marine physicist with experience at places like WHOI, USGS, and CSIRO. He's very respected for his ocean mapping work, but it's his 2024-2025 updates that have made headlines. Basically, he believes Captain Zahari didn't just run out of fuel and crash, but purposely ditched mh370 in a deep sediment pit at Broken Ridge. That's Southeast Indian Ocean, for the record.
This man's saying the pilot pulled a real-life Houdini act, controlled the descent, flaps out, engines running, like Sully on the Hudson. Only here, the end game was absolute concealment, and lines pointing at a specific set of coordinates, 34.36 south, 93.88 east. Deep water, messy terrain, nature's own booby trap. Gotta admit, that's operational thinking, isn't it, Major?
Absolutely, Duke. The more I read, the more this starts looking like a chess problem. Every piece, the flight simulator, the planned route, even the debris, all hint at a calculated move to hide all evidence. Line talks about Shaw depressurizing the cabin, disabling everyone, then sticking the landing right in that chasm. He's got data from satellite pings, modeled debris drifts, and even barnacle growth on a Malaysia Airlines towelette that washed up on Réunion. That's thorough.
You know, as someone trained to interrogate and follow the tiniest clue in military intel, I respect that grind. Barnacles, satellite handshakes. The stuff he's digging up reminds me of sifting through overlapping footprints in the sand. Sometimes that little odd mark turns into your breakthrough. Still, his claim is bold. He says this spot ties back to the pilot's home sim data and Penang runway coordinates. That's not random, either intent or, well, a whole lot of coincidence stacked up.
And we can't forget, he's saying the debris damage suggests a controlled landing, trailing edge breaks, not nose-dived chaos, plus the ocean floor anomaly, what he calls a bright pixel at about 5,750 meters. Some folks are already calling it metallic wreckage, but honestly, bathymetry's got uncertainties.
Yeah, but you know what, Olga? From a tactical perspective, I'm gonna say this theory makes ugly sense. Why else would you put yourself in a location that's both symbolic, matches those simulator tracks, and almost impossible to reach? That's called, denial by geography. Military types do it all the time. Just, next level for a civilian airliner, if true.
Now, let's pump the brakes a bit. There's a lot of hot air around this. Experts and aviation journalists, people like Jeff Wise, they see Line as stretching past his own field. Oceanography's a long toss from cockpit procedure and aerodynamics. Even Malaysia's 2018 official report said no motive found for Shah, though there's plenty of rumor mongering out there.
You're right, Sentinel. It's easy to build a theory if you only look at the hand-picked evidence. The bright pixel on ocean floor maps could just be a data glitch. People smarter than me with sonar have said we get weird readings all the time, and Broken Ridge wasn't the main priority before. I mean, this was outside the official 7th Arc search zone from the start.
And with every new angle, the families are left in limbo again. I followed a protest recently. mh370 relatives in Malaysia, China, everywhere. They rallied at embassies and local halls every time a breakthrough headline comes up. Each theory means new hope, then fresh disappointment whenever it falls apart. One mother told me, "Every scientist who speaks gives us another night without closure. It is devastating. You can imagine the human toll."
Thing is, there's always some other theory floating around. Some say hypoxia knocked out the crew, just a slow, wandering drift till the plane ran dry. Some say mechanical failure, no evil intent at all. And of course, every conspiracy nut's got an angle. If I hear one more rant about it being landed in Kazakhstan, I'm gonna lose it. Look, we do need to be careful. Sometimes evidence is just noise.
That's the danger. If you start seeing patterns in every anomaly or pixel, you can end up chasing ghosts, like chess. You gotta know which pieces are actually in play and which are just part of the background. Overinterpreting data gets us nowhere, but you can't ignore persistent evidence just 'cause it's inconvenient.
That's why, for me, it's always about what stands up to cross-exam. What can be corroborated with hard evidence, not just a hunch.
So, here's where we're at. As of late 2025, there's still no wreckage at Broken Ridge or anywhere else. Ocean Infinity's new search paused for months, and that so-called choke point hasn't been touched directly. Yet, Line's latest viral paper and all those trending hashtags are putting pressure on search authorities to go back out there. The memes, the science solved it slogans, they matter in the court of public opinion, even if not the court of science.
Yeah, this feels like a chess endgame if you ask me. Not many moves left. Do you risk scarce resources chasing one expert's lead, or do you stick with the old playbook? Each choice costs you, narrows the field, and raises expectations all around. There's no room for blunders.
You know, makes me think of a mission in Afghanistan, years back. We were about to leave an AO, area of operation for you civilians, when some low-level recon found a weird signal coming off a hill. Initial reports called it a fluke, just static or interference. Long story short, we stuck around, checked it out, and that's how we prevented a major ambush. Sometimes, that one irregular reading is your answer. You ignore it, you miss your shot.
That's a good lesson, Duke. Balancing skepticism with curiosity. So, what do we trust most right now? The debris drift, the satellite handshakes, or the simulator path? And can more advanced tech, like higher res bathymetry or deep water drones, finally give us closure? Or do we risk chasing yet another scientific wild goose?
I wonder, too, how much of this is about our need for answers, no matter the cost. The families want certainty, the scientists want proof, but public pressure, media, memes, hope, it can move mountains. Maybe, if only, it could move a submersible toward Broken Ridge one more time.
That's the critical question for every search planner. Is the evidence strong enough to justify another push? You gotta weigh the rigor of science against the desperate urge for closure. Those aren't always aligned, but it doesn't mean we quit playing the game.
I say, check everything you haven't checked. Tie off every loose thread. Sometimes you gotta be plain stubborn before you chalk something up as lost for good. Not just for us, but for the people who live with this unanswered pain every day.
All right, team. That's going to wrap up this episode of The New Sentinel. mh370 remains one of the biggest mysteries of our time. But as we've seen today, science and public persistence might still crack it. We'll keep tracking any new leads, so stick with us for future updates. Major, Duke, Olga, thanks for another great debate. Final words before we sign off?
Always a pleasure. Keep asking the hard questions, folks. The game's not over yet.
Thank you, everyone. Let's keep listening to the voices of those most affected. Never forget the human side of the story.
Stay alert. Stay curious, Patriots. This isn't the last word. I guarantee it.
All right, then. That's it from us. Be safe, stay sharp, and we'll see you next time on The New Sentinel. Bye for now.